The rear naked choke. The most popular and most common submission in all of MMA and all of Jiu-Jitsu. And in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to master it. We're gonna go into how to set it up, when to do it, common mistakes, how to finish it on any belt, any level. So if you're ready, let's get started. The rear naked choke. Why is this the most popular and most effective choke in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Well, my 9-year-old daughter with her little skinny arms can come behind a grown man like Cam, put the choke in, and choke him unconscious. And the reason is because we have two arteries called the carotid arteries right here and right here, and that's what brings blood up to the brain to keep us functioning and alive and awake. You cut these two out. So if I take my hands right now and I just cut these two out, and now the blood stops going up into the brain, and I hold it long enough. They say 6 seconds, 8 seconds for more of jiu-jitsu guys who are used to it. If I hold that for 8 seconds, he's gonna fall asleep. If I hold it longer while he's sleeping, and I hold it while he's sleeping for another 20, 30, I could kill him. So that's very dangerous. You gotta be very careful with this rear naked choke. If you're using it in self-defense or street fights. In jiu-jitsu, people tap, you let go, everything's fine. So how do we close off these arteries in the tightest, most effective, efficient way? That is with the rear naked choke, also called the mata leon, which means lion killer. So step one, I wanna get my arm around his neck. Okay, I like to use my most dominant arm. I'm right-handed. I can squeeze my right arm harder. Elbow under chin. My elbow pit, this little piece of skin here that separates my forearm and my bicep, should actually be touching his neck. So I don't want any space. I want to actually be touching his neck. My other hand is going to grab the bicep to shoulder area. Anywhere in that area is fine, depending on your arm length. This other hand now is going to hook under the head as low as possible. I can't go any lower. I don't want it up here, I want it low, okay? Once it's locked in, then I can just grab my shoulder here, that's fine. By the way, if you're liking this video right now, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I got a lot more videos coming your way soon. Once it's locked in, then I can just grab my shoulder here, that's fine. The lock is locked. Okay? To finish, there's a couple different motions we need to do. Number one, I want to push my elbow down into his chest. Almost like my elbow's giving him CPR. Push down into his chest. Number two, I want my elbows to come together. So I'm closing my elbows. Number three, I want to make a muscle. And when I hold those three things together, steady pressure, he goes out. The last little step, I don't want him to be able to grab my hand. So I'm going to put my head to his head to make a blockage for if he reaches his hand up to grab this hand, this hand to pull me down. If I do this, it's gonna be a lot harder for him to do that. Okay? And the very last tip is take a deep breath. Because what happens when you take a deep breath? Your chest and your stomach expand, pushing him deeper into the choke. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the three motions. Elbow down into the chest, elbows come together, make a muscle, and we get a quick tap. So common mistakes of just the mechanics of the choke. People throw the arm around and they don't get the elbow right under the chin. It becomes more of like a throat crush, which can be effective too, but it's not gonna choke them out as nicely as the rear naked choke. So you don't want this. Common mistake number two, getting a good chunk of that bicep. I don't want just fingers on the bicep, and then you see my palm, it's sticking out. I can't squeeze hard with that. I almost want to get my wrist on the bicep and my hand around so I have a nice, strong, tight grip. I could squeeze, okay? 1, 2. Common mistake number three, people leaving their hand up here. If he doesn't do any defense, I could probably still finish the choke here. But if he knows anything, he's just gonna pull that top hand off. When the top hand gets pulled off, I have no more power to squeeze. Just a little bit. It's not gonna be enough to choke him out, especially a guy who knows jiu-jitsu and his neck is used to this. I need this hand to be low behind the head, out of range of his grab. Okay, and then my head goes here and now he can't grab it. Common mistake number four, people think that you are supposed to like hang the person, like lift the rear naked choke into his head and almost like you're hanging him by a rope. It's not as tight. When I go down elbow down like I'm giving him CPR, that's what's tight. That's what blocks off the arteries better. A hang just kind of hooks underneath your chin and it hurts here. I want to close out these arteries, so everything down. Just one hand doing it, I could get the tap. Hooking, this is just gonna piss him off. All right. And the final mistake, once the rear naked choke is locked in and everything, people squeezing as hard as they can and then just letting go, and then squeezing and then releasing, and then squeezing and then releasing. Why are they releasing? Because they're squeezing as hard as they can and they don't have the energy to squeeze that for a long time. I'd rather you squeeze at 60 to 70% of your effort and your force, but hold it for 10, 15 seconds or until they're tap or go out. So I'm gonna squeeze about 50% right now. I could hold 50% for an hour. So you'll just get the tap a little bit later. You know, instead of 6 seconds, it might be 8 or 10 seconds. But if I miss it, if you're in a jiu-jitsu match and he somehow gets out, my arms are good. I didn't burn my arms out for the rest of the match and the rest of the day, really. I'm good. And if you want to pick it up slowly as you go up, and you always go up in pressure. So if I start at 50, I'll go to 60, 70, 80. But I'm never gonna go like 90, 60, 100, 50. No, it's one steady pressure and it only goes up. So now you know the mechanics of the choke, but very rarely is he gonna be sitting here for us to just come behind and do this, right? He's gonna know what to do, he's gonna be blocking it, he's gonna be defending it. So we need to know how to deal with his defenses. So typically we're in hooks when we take the back, seatbelt grip. Okay, the seatbelt grip, we're always grabbing the choke hand. There's a choke hand, one that's resting over his shoulder is that choke hand, that's the one that's gonna go around his neck. The underhook hand is the one that's under his armpit. Under the armpit hand always grabs the choke hand, and we push it into his chest and we try to drill our chest into his back. Okay? You could fall to the underhook side or you could fall to the choke side. I always prefer the underhook side because there's more options there and I have an easier time getting the choke from that side. So we're never gonna be in jiu-jitsu just sitting here like this. It just doesn't happen. It's always to one side. So once we're here on the choke side, the underhook side, he's gonna do a baseball bat grip. Okay, like he's holding a baseball bat, thumb over, fingers over. This is a very effective grip to stop my choke. I have to get rid of it. If I just tried to choke him while he has this, there's no way my one arm is gonna be stronger than his two arms to go around his neck. If I got rid of this hand though, I don't think this hand is enough to stop my choke. I think I'll still be able to get it under his neck. So really the most important grip to break is this one. I want to really get both of them broken, but this is the most important one. If he had this one without this one, it doesn't go around. So I got to break that grip. And the whole theory that I have is I want to make it an unfair advantage. Right now it's 2 hands versus 2 hands. I want to make it either 1 hand versus no hands or my 2 hands versus his 1 hand. That's how the choke becomes the most easy on a guy who knows what he's doing. So step 1, okay, I have my harness here, but he has the grip. I have to get rid of this hand. How do I do it? My favorite way is with a wrist lock, okay, to hurt his wrist where he releases the grip. So I was here, he gets his grips. Step 1, I call it, may I help you? So I open up some space and I put my palm in there like this, palm up in the hole here, may I help you? My hand says yes. I lock my hands together. I'm trying to put that pinky knuckle into his chest. So I turn it and then I push it into his chest. And what it does is it really puts a lot of pressure right there on his wrist. And he may not completely release the grip, but it's gonna loosen really, really bad. And then I grab it and pull it off. I'm not grabbing his wrist because if he straightens his arm now, he gets right out. I always, always, always grab this little piece of meat right here. Now straighten your arm. He'll break his own wrist before that comes out. Okay, this is a very important detail. This arm should be gone forever. That's it, it's gone. It's still one-on-one though. I want it to be unfair, and my unfair advantage is 1-0. So I'm gonna start going for the choke. And hey, if I can get it under his chin, I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna go for it. But something tells me he's gonna be pulling really hard. Yeah, it's gonna be like a resistance of effort. My effort versus his effort will equal like nothing, and it just won't move. When I'm ready, I'm going to give him what he wants. He wants to pull it away, I'm gonna give him what he wants. At the same time I give him what I want, I take my hook out and I throw my leg over both of our arms. And then I slip mine out hook my foot behind his lower back, and this arm is now trapped. Can you get your arm free?
No.
And Kem has really long arms, so they ain't going anywhere. So now we have that unfair advantage I was talking about. My one arm versus nothing, just his chin. And this is how we want to get the choke, okay? There's still gonna be a battle here because he's not just gonna go like this. Here you go, choke me. No, he's gonna tuck his chin into his chest. So I have to become really good at getting under that chin. Now, if you're in a competition, you can be as mean as you want. My buddy Wagner Rocha likes to brush the teeth. So what that means is he takes this blade right here and he just freaking brushes your teeth. Right, and just, you could bloody up someone's lips, their mouth, their teeth, until they start lifting their chin up. Okay, that's one way. You could do his other technique called the muffler, where you take this little cup and you cover their mouth and pull it back. Now that's not gonna get you a lot of friends in training in your gym, okay, just so you know. People aren't gonna wanna roll with you probably if you do that to them. So I like to do it like this. I take a fist and I turn it into like a karate chop without fingers. So boom, boom. And this little blade right here, I'll go right to the chest, bring your, yeah. And I'll just start digging, I'll just start digging. And it'll eventually go under. And once it's under, my fingers come out, I raise my wrist, I punch the rest in. So again, chin down. I make this little ridge here, and I just dig, 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 dig. Excavator, dig, 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 dig. Fingers come out, lift, and then I punch the rest of it in so my elbow's under his chin. Now that I have this, I don't need this hand anymore because I'm gonna go for the kill. I'm going for the rear naked choke. But my arm is kind of trapped. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lift us both up slightly. Lift us both up slightly. My hand comes out, bicep, head, head, elbow down, just like I showed before. Steady pressure squeeze, and we finish. So if you're trying to break this grip with the may I help you, and it's not working, the reason it's not working is because he turned his wrist. And now I can't even reach my fingers together. If he does that, he's giving me the next one, which is just to wipe that thumb knuckle. So I use my palm here as a bulldozer, and I just wipe the thumb knuckle away. It comes right off. So one of those will definitely work. I'm either gonna get this one, break it, or he's gonna turn it and I can't get that one, and I could wipe it. As I dig, okay. So here's what it would look like full speed. And one last tip, let's take a break from this video for one moment, because let's just be real. Your back attacks probably suck. And if they do, I have a full length course, okay? So if you got a lot of value out of this video, imagine what a full length course on exactly how to control and dominate the back with different submissions and positions from there. Check out Matt Arroyo's back attack blueprint. The link is in the description. And one last tip, when you're getting the rear naked choke, I'm showing it to you like this just so I can show you to you in steps. But when you're doing it in a real match, you never want your hand to be in front of his body. Because if I do this, hand to bicep, and I leave this out here and he pulls it down, he's gonna break my elbow. Or he's just gonna grab onto it and he's not gonna give it to me to get behind his head to finish. So you always wanna keep everything behind his head. So boom, it's almost like your hands are crossing. So there's a big difference between this and this. Keep everything behind the head. So if he's trying to grab me, can't. Then we take it. Some guys don't really have a neck, or they're so good at tucking their chin and they're so tough that this isn't gonna work. You're not gonna get under. You could try the teeth brush and all the stuff and he's just, nope, you're not getting it. In this moment, we're gonna have to choke over the chin. Okay, they call it the mandible choke. Again, it's not gonna make you a lot of friends in your training area, but you gotta know how to do it. So if I can't get under, I'm just gonna come over the mandible, which is the jaw chin area. And I'm gonna do the exact same rear naked choke I showed you with one little exception, one little detail change. So I lift up, get my arm free, and I lock everything up. Before I squeeze and just break his chin, I'm just gonna turn it slightly. Okay, so my elbow is right under his chin. I'm gonna make him look to his right, into my choke. Now I'm gonna go down and squeeze. And you will get a blood choke. It does hurt his chin, it does suck, but it will choke him out if he doesn't tap. So it's the same thing. As you can see, my arm is completely around his face, instead of just squeezing here and breaking his face, I want to get the choke, so I just make a little turn and then I go down and I squeeze. And it's brutal, but it's up to him because he's the one that's not lifting his chin for you. So if he wants to keep it down, he's got to deal with that. So now you know how to do the most effective, the most common, the most popular submission in all of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and all of MMA. So get out there and practice it. And if you really like these videos, make sure you subscribe.